Hi, I'm Nicole, and I'm living proof that it's never too late to change your life. I'm 38 years old, and I went from drug addict to successful business owner. I did this by taking care of myself, changing my mindset, and setting goals. I've had failure, but I've also had success. And I want to bring you guys along the journey and help others realize that anything in the world is possible. Now let's get into the video. Hey guys, how are you? I'm Nicole. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I hope that you're having a good day today. And today's video is something that is extremely important for me in my life to have any kind of success. So I have ADHD, and if you don't know what that means, I'm going to get into that, and then I'll get into the exact thing that I do that helps me have success. So I also want to say, first off, I am not a doctor. I am not a licensed anything in the medical field. I am just somebody who has ADHD. This is just my experience and things that work for me. So that's number one. And number two, you might relate to some of these symptoms. Again, that doesn't mean you have ADHD. You know, you have to go to your doctor. A lot of these symptoms, everybody can relate to at one point in their life. People with ADHD usually have to deal with these symptoms on a daily basis, and it can get overwhelming, frustrating, and tiring. So yeah, let's get into just a little bit about what ADHD is. Okay, so what is ADHD? Well, it stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, which basically means it's a condition that can negatively impact a person's attention and behavior and can interfere with daily activities at school, at work, at home, and with friends. People who have ADHD have higher levels of inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity more than their peers. Now, everybody's different, and there's tons of symptoms. Go over some of the most common symptoms. Being impatient, clumsiness, struggling with short-term memory, feeling trapped, sleeping problems, poor impulse control, and the ability to focus. A lot of times people can be disorganized, and it makes it hard for people to prioritize. I feel like I don't have a good sense of time. And another symptom is not managing time well, which also makes people late sometimes or missing deadlines. It can be really hard to focus on tasks, multitask, and have trouble planning and prioritizing your work or tasks. People can be restless or excessively active, and you can get easily distracted, which can make you frustrated. You get frustrated a lot because there's always a million things going on. You tend to be more impulsive than other people, and also having mood swings is a common symptom. I personally always blamed it on that I was a Gemini, but I'm sure it's a little bit of both. It could be hard to cope with stress, and it could be difficulty of finding words. So people will say a lot, like I just said, or will take pauses. And also people with ADHD tend to have more risky behavior than other people. Misplacing or losing things is something really common with people that have ADHD, and it gets frustrating, you know. So having these symptoms on a daily basis could make you depressed, stressed, have anxiety, and beyond frustrated. And like I said earlier, you could have some of these symptoms, and most people do in their lifetime, but when you have them a lot of them on a daily basis, it gets overwhelming. So now quickly, I just wanted to kind of go over like what it looks like in my brain. So I'm just kind of being funny with it, but here's my brain. I'll get an idea. And then I'm like, all right, great, let's get started on this idea. But then I'll forget. I'll do something else. Then I'll remember. Then I'll go back to it. Then something will happen, like I'll get a distraction, a phone call, or whatever. And now I'm like, wait, what the heck was I doing? Then maybe I'll hear my dog bark or something, so I'll go down. And that might remind me of something else. So maybe I'll start singing, Who Let the Dogs Out? And then you know, I'll think of summer because that's a song that's played in summer, and think about how I need a vacation. Then I'm like, oh wait, I gotta let the dog out. Then I let the dog out. Then I see the cats and I'm like, oh, I should probably just feed them quick, get it done. And then I feed the cats. I'm like, I can check that off my list. Well, usually that's not on my list because that's just something that I have to do daily. Then there might be a dish in the sink and I'm like, all right, let me just do these dishes so I don't have to do it later. But now I'm like overwhelmed because I forgot what I was doing in the first place and I really just want to get back to it. So then I'll go to get back to it. I'll go to get my phone and then I can't find it. And now I'm like really just frustrated, overwhelmed, and it's like I don't want to do it anymore. But instead of giving up, I just take a deep breath and keep it moving. A lot of people like to play with fidget toys. I've never tried a fidget spinner or anything like that. I personally actually do like these little cubes. I think they're cool. But I want to get into now how I'm able to run a business, keep myself organized without losing my mind. Sometimes I lose my mind, but really the key is keeping organized. That's like number one. Making to-do list and having visual reminders around me. These are the things that really, really help me, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do right now. But first, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you relate to anything that I just... Okay, so again, this might seem like a little excessive to some people, but for me, this is what works. It's really hard for me to plan too far in ahead. So I actually got this thing that I'm writing on right now. So one of the first things that I do is on this little blackboard, I write my goals for the year. So at least I have some kind of reference on what it is I want to accomplish throughout the year. Since there's multiple goals on there, I try not to do too much at once because that actually is my biggest problem, is that I want to do a million things, but doing too much at once, I wind up getting overwhelmed and nothing gets done. So I have on another whiteboard. So this is where I write the current goal I'm working on, the steps I need to take to get there, the vision. So I like to think of this like goal, work, and then reward. Sorry, the tripod's right there. This is what my board looks like. So the what is building an online course, and why is because I want to provide an affordable online course to teach beginners.
And there's so many scams out there.
But, you know, I put the bullet points of the main things that I have to do on there. And I really like to have the why stand out because when you're spending all those late night working, sometimes you need to be reminded of why you're doing it. Okay, so now I have another whiteboard. And this one is a monthly whiteboard. So basically for this, I color code it and then I assign each day of the week to a specific topic. So as you could see, Tuesdays I film videos, Mondays I work on building my course, and so on and so on. I've dedicated days, so this way I'm not over pressuring myself to like do too much in one day. So this little pad, which you could probably make yourself, I got it at Dollar Tree, is really how I came up with this whole little thing. Literally like changed my life, this little dollar pad. So I usually leave this like downstairs and bring it like around with me. This is a weekly planner, you know, so I write down everything work related, just things throughout the day if I'm not at my desk. Once I see it all laid out, that's my weekly goals, my priorities, and like, of course, most important, the don't forget part. A lot of times my list actually starts here and then we'll transfer over, you know, to another board. This whiteboard is the whiteboard that I have right next to me, like right here, And this is next to me, and it's also a whiteboard because things can change, you know, rather than wasting so much paper or having post-it notes all over the place. So I do have a post-it pad right here, but I find that there's post-it notes all over the place, and I really like to keep things neat and organized so I'm not distracted throughout the day. So I found for me, this is what works best. So once I have my list, I can't think of anything right now, so so that's my to-do list. Let's just pretend there's things on there. So now at the end of the day, I just look at my list. If there's anything that I've crossed off, then I'd be excited. If not, I go in and I start looking at the colors that I've already made for the calendar. So anything course related is purple, so I'm just gonna circle it purple. Okay, anything ecom related,
I'm going to circle yellow. I think you get the point.
And there's a reason why I do this. Not so it looks messier. So then what I do is, just a side note, if you have animals, don't let them in your office because they will slide onto the whiteboard and wipe your to-do list off, and you'll be like, oh, not cool, guys, not cool. But anyway, I got a lock on there now, on my door now. So this is anything that pops into my head. So I'll be doing something and something will pop in my head, and often what I tend to do is go and do that thing, and then I'm like, oh, I'll come back to it. A lot of times I'll be like, I'll just leave the tab open so I remind myself to go back to it. No, that doesn't work, because
then what winds up happening is you have 1,000 tabs open and you get overwhelmed and you just X them all out and you forget. So
I write it down right here and just tell myself, no, you'll get to it when you're done doing what you're doing, and then you can move on to that later.
At the end of the day, for me, what I do next is I grab this board, because I have learned my lesson from my animals swiping. Anything that I was not able to do that day, I now take it from this board and I write it on, you know what, let me get up and vlog for a sec. This is just like a sticker whiteboard that I got, but you know what, it works for me. I've had it forever. I write down the things that really need to get done this week. Anything that I've written down or anything that I can think of that's a top priority, I have here. I have sparkle around it so you can't miss it. It's exactly across from my desk, and then I have things that like maybe my staff can help me with, and then I'll transfer it over here. So usually it will look something like that, and what I do is I put a red line next to the priorities, like those are my most important. I don't feel like setting up this camera equipment right now, so I'm just gonna do this quick. As promised, here is my completed daily task. You probably could see it backwards, so I'll flip it over in a second. But I've crossed off any of the tasks that I've assigned to my employees, just to make the list not look as overwhelming. And I really do want to say that you don't want to like add a million things to something that you're looking at on a daily basis. You know, you might want to have like another notebook or something that you put like literally everything, because it will discourage you if you have like so much to do. One thing at a time is like the only way that things can get done. I have my priorities in red down there that I can read from my desk. I have the colors so I know which day is associated. I also wrote the day, but whatever. Sometimes I do it different, but this is just something that helps. I've purchased a huge whiteboard to go over here twice, and for some reason it just hasn't ever came. They didn't charge me for it, but I want it. Like I need a big whiteboard. I'm the whiteboard queen. I got like 10 in there. for me, having things visual
really
helped me tremendously. When I'm sitting there, it's almost impossible for me to forget because I have what I need to see right there, my priorities for that day or whatever for the week.
I have them right there.
Then I have my motivation, my goals. I like to keep positive messages in places where I can see, because if I'm getting overwhelmed or I'm feeling frustrated, if I look at that, I know it sounds silly, but it motivates you. I know, because I've went from literally drug addict to successful business owner, and if I could do that, anyone could do it. And I know if I was able to make that happen, I could literally do anything. I can go on for hours and hours, so I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it. Please subscribe for more, and I'll see you next week.